Feeling overwhelmed and stuck because you can't say no? In The Art of Saying No, productivity expert and best-selling author Damon Zahariades offers a life-changing guide to setting boundaries without guilt. With practical advice rooted in years of experience, he shows you how to protect your time, energy, and self-respect while strengthening your relationships. This book is your key to reclaiming control over your life. Ready to break free from overcommitting and master the art of confidently saying no? Your journey begins here. Key takeaway 1. Saying no is a skill, a deep dive into mastery. In today's fast-paced world, many of us find it difficult to say no. We feel an overwhelming urge to please others, often fearing that turning down a request will cause discomfort or damage a relationship. Over time, this inability to set clear boundaries can lead to feeling stretched too thin, overwhelmed, and ultimately at risk of burnout. But here's the truth. Saying no is a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned and perfected. Mastering this skill is one of the most empowering things you can do for your mental health, productivity, and overall well-being. Why saying no is so difficult? From a young age, many of us are taught to be accommodating, polite, and agreeable. Whether it's at home, at school, or in social settings, we're often praised for being helpful and cooperative. These behaviors become ingrained over time, and they shape the way we interact with the world. When we are conditioned to constantly say yes, we're less comfortable with saying no, even when we know it's the healthiest option. As adults, this conditioning manifests as a fear of conflict and rejection. We worry that saying no might make us appear selfish, rude, or inconsiderate. But here's where the problem lies. Constantly saying yes to please others doesn't just drain us. It breeds feelings of resentment, anxiety, and a deep sense of dissatisfaction. Imagine this. You're already overwhelmed with responsibilities, but a friend asks you to take on yet another favor. You hesitate to say no, fearing that you'll disappoint them or damage the relationship. But what happens next? You agree to help, stretching yourself even thinner, which leads to stress, frustration, and ultimately, resentment. You feel guilty for saying yes, but you also feel frustrated because your needs weren't met. This cycle of overcommitting can leave you mentally, emotionally, and physically exhausted. Fear of missing out. There's another deep-rooted psychological driver at play. The fear of missing out. When we say no, we fear that we might lose out on opportunities, experiences, or relationships. This fear compels us to overextend ourselves, saying yes to things we don't truly want to do, just to avoid the feeling of missing out. But here's the twist. Saying no actually gives us more control over our lives. By setting boundaries, we create space to focus on what truly aligns with our goals and values. Saying no isn't a sign of exclusion. It's a way to say yes to the opportunities, experiences, and relationships that genuinely serve our happiness and well-being. Guilt and the need to be liked. Guilt is perhaps the most significant barrier we face when it comes to saying no. We often feel guilty for disappointing others or letting them down. For some, this guilt stems from a deeply ingrained belief that our worth is tied to being helpful and available at all times. The desire to be liked, or to avoid the discomfort that comes with letting others down, makes it incredibly hard to refuse a request. However, understanding that saying no is not an act of rejecting the person, but rather a request, can help alleviate some of that guilt. You're not rejecting the relationship. You're simply respecting your boundaries and choosing to protect your time and energy. While learning to say no is essential, protecting your time and energy. Every yes you give to someone else is a no to something important in your life, whether it's your time, your mental health, or your personal goals. When we fail to say no, we dilute the quality of our time and energy. But when we say no strategically, we make space to focus on what truly matters. Whether that's dedicating time to our health, nurturing our relationships, or simply having time to relax. By setting these boundaries, we're not neglecting others. We're allowing ourselves to show up more fully when we do engage. Maintaining mental health. Constantly overcommitting can lead to burnout. The mental and emotional exhaustion from saying yes too often takes a serious toll on our well-being. It leads to stress, frustration, and anxiety. But when we say no, we carve out time for rest, reflection, and self-care, critical components of mental health. These moments of pause are where true recovery and rejuvenation occur. Improving relationships. It may seem counterintuitive, but saying no can strengthen your relationships. When you continually say yes, even when you're stretched too thin, it can breed resentment. You may begin to feel like you're giving more than you're receiving, which can create emotional distance and dissatisfaction in the relationship. On the other hand, when you say no in a respectful, clear manner, you set boundaries that encourage mutual respect. This honest communication fosters deeper, more authentic connections because you're showing up as your true, balanced self. Practical strategies for mastering the art of saying no. Start small. If saying no feels overwhelming, begin with smaller, low-pressure situations. You might start by politely declining an invitation to an event you don't want to attend, or saying no to a small request at work. With each no, you'll build confidence, and saying no will become easier over time. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel in more significant situations. Be direct but polite. One of the biggest challenges when saying no is resisting the urge to over-explain. It's tempting to give lengthy justifications to soften the blow, but this often leaves room for negotiation, making the situation more uncomfortable. Keep your response clear, concise, and firm. For example, "I'm sorry, I won't be able to help with that. I appreciate the offer, but I need to decline." A brief response avoids unnecessary guilt and helps you stay firm in your decision. Offer an alternative, if possible. In some situations, you might want to maintain the relationship but still decline the request. Offering an alternative can be a great way to show that you're still willing to help in a way that respects your boundaries. For example, "I can't attend the meeting, but I'd be happy to review the report afterward. I can't meet this week, but how about next month?" This shows that you're willing to help in a way that doesn't compromise your priorities. Know your priorities and use them as filters. One of the most effective ways to determine when to say no is by aligning requests with your priorities. Ask yourself, does this request align with my goals? Will this contribute to my well-being? Does this help me achieve something important to me? When your values are clear, it becomes much easier to say no when something doesn't fit with what truly matters. Use the broken record technique. Sometimes people will try to convince you to change your mind after you've said no. In these situations, avoid lengthy discussions or justifications. Instead, calmly repeat your no and stay firm. "I understand you need help, but I'm afraid I'm unable to assist." By repeating your response, you reinforce your boundary without engaging in unnecessary negotiation. Practice self-compassion. Remember, learning to say no is a process. There will be times when it feels uncomfortable, and that's okay. Be kind to yourself during this journey. The guilt and unease will lessen over time, especially as you realize how important it is to take care of your well-being. Remember, saying no is not an act of selfishness, it's an act of self-care. When you protect your time and energy, you are ultimately better able to show up for others, too. Overcoming guilt and resistance. One of the hardest aspects of saying no is managing the guilt that often follows. It's important to remind yourself that by setting boundaries, you're not rejecting others, you're respecting your own needs. When you choose to prioritize your mental and emotional health, you're creating a stronger foundation from which to engage with the world around you. If you ever feel guilty for saying no, remember this. You have the right to protect your time, energy, and mental health. Your well-being matters. If others truly care for you, they will respect your decisions, even if they don't always agree with them. By setting these boundaries, you're not just saying no to others, you're saying yes to your happiness and well-being. Key takeaway number 2. No is not selfish. Saying no is an essential practice for maintaining healthy boundaries, yet it is often misunderstood as selfish. In reality, saying no is an act of self-preservation that benefits both you and those around you. Here's why it's not selfish and how it can improve your life. Transitioning to the power of saying no. Initially, saying no may feel uncomfortable, especially when you're used to saying yes in order to please others. However, it's important to recognize that saying no isn't about rejecting people. It's about prioritizing your needs and well-being. When you establish healthy boundaries, you ensure that you have the time and energy to show up as your best self for others. Preserving your energy. Your energy is finite, and every decision to say yes to something that doesn't align with your goals or values drains it. Just as you would conserve a valuable resource, saying no allows you to protect your energy and invest it in the things that truly matter to you. When you're intentional with how you spend your energy, you prevent burnout and can fully engage in the relationships and activities that align with your passions and needs. Preventing burnout. Overcommitting leads to mental fatigue, stress, and burnout. By saying no when necessary, you're able to avoid spreading yourself too thin. This decision helps preserve your physical and emotional health, ensuring that you have the energy to tackle what matters most. Just as a car requires rest and maintenance to keep running smoothly, your body and mind need balance to function optimally. Enhancing mental clarity and focus. The more tasks you accept, the more mental clutter you accumulate. Saying no helps clear distractions, providing you with mental space to make better decisions and focus on what's truly important. This clarity allows you to prioritize your long-term goals over immediate, less important demands. Strengthening relationships through boundaries. When you say no, you protect your time and emotional energy, which improves your ability to show up for others in meaningful ways. For example, attending a social event while exhausted may result in you being physically present but mentally absent. By setting boundaries, you ensure you're fully engaged and present with the people who matter most. The power of saying no for self-respect and care. Saying no is a form of self-respect. It signals that you value your time, energy, and well-being. Just as you wouldn't let someone take more than their fair share of a resource, saying no is about protecting what matters most to you. This decision restores balance and puts you back in control of your time and focus, leading to greater fulfillment. Overcoming guilt. A common barrier to saying no is the fear of disappointing others. However, setting boundaries with kindness and clarity shows respect for both your needs and those of others. People who truly care about you will understand that you're taking care of yourself, and they will respect your decision. Learning to say no is an empowering skill that helps you preserve your energy, improve your focus, and build healthier relationships. It's not a selfish act. It's an essential tool for self-care and living a life aligned with your values. The next time you need to protect your time and energy, remember that saying no is not only okay, it's necessary for your well-being. Key takeaway number 3, boundaries are necessary. Earlier, we discussed how saying no is an essential step in protecting your energy. But for saying no to be truly effective, it's important to pair it with clear boundaries. Boundaries aren't just a tool for saying no. They're the foundation for managing your time, reducing stress, and preventing burnout. Without clear limits, it's easy to get swept up in the demands of others and neglect your own well-being. Transition to boundaries, taking control of your life. Establishing boundaries means actively setting limits to protect your emotional, mental, and physical health. This proactive approach helps you prioritize what matters most while avoiding the depletion that comes from overcommitting. However, boundaries are only useful when they're clearly defined and respected, both by you and those around you. Let's explore why boundaries are so vital and how they contribute to your well-being. Why boundaries are essential for protecting your time. Boundaries help prevent overcommitment. In today's fast-paced world, there's always a push to do more. From work projects to social events, it can feel overwhelming. But clear boundaries help you discern what's worth your time and energy, making it easier to say no to tasks that don't align with your priorities. When you set boundaries, you're taking control of your most valuable resource, time. This gives you the ability to focus on what truly matters, whether that's work, self-care, family, or relaxation. Maintaining mental and emotional well-being. Overcommitting can take a toll on your mental and emotional health, leading to stress, anxiety, and resentment. When you don't establish boundaries, you may feel like you're living for everyone else, leading to burnout. Boundaries help you define where your needs end and others' demands begin, creating space for emotional balance. Maintaining healthy boundaries allows you to take care of yourself first, so you can better show up for others. Fostering healthy relationships. Boundaries aren't just about protecting yourself. They also help build healthier, more respectful relationships. When you communicate your limits, people around you learn to respect them. For example, if you establish a boundary of no work calls after 7 p.m., you're not just protecting your time. You're also setting the expectation that your personal life is important. This creates a space for mutual respect and a deeper understanding of each other's needs. Key takeaway number 4, clarity is key, saying no with confidence. While boundaries are essential for protecting your energy, clarity is key to ensuring that your boundaries are respected. When you say no, being clear and direct is crucial. The more straightforward you are, the easier it is for others to understand and respect your decision. Let's explore how to communicate your limits effectively. The power of direct communication. When you say no, vagueness only leads to confusion and may result in the other person pushing back. For instance, saying maybe later or I'm not sure invites uncertainty and leaves room for the requester to keep asking. Instead, practice being clear and concise. Phrases like I can't commit right now or I need to pass on this opportunity communicate your decision firmly and respectfully. Setting expectations with clarity. Clear communication helps set realistic expectations with others. By being direct about your limits, you help others understand your priorities and prevent further misunderstandings. If a colleague asks you to take on more work, for example, a response like, I'm currently focused on my existing projects and can't take on more is a clear, respectful way to set a boundary based on your workload. Reducing guilt and pressure. Being clear in your refusal also minimizes the internal guilt that often comes with saying no. When you're direct, there's less pressure to justify or over-explain your decision. For example, instead of saying, I might have time later, not sure, you could simply say, I'm unable to commit to that right now. This sets a clear boundary without leaving room for guilt or second-guessing. Using direct language to maintain your boundaries. Being honest doesn't mean being harsh. You can refuse a request while maintaining kindness. Saying something like, I can't help with that, but thank you for thinking of me is clear yet polite. It allows you to maintain your boundaries while showing appreciation for the other person's request. The benefits of clarity in saying no. Less stress. Clear refusals reduce the chance of being pressured or manipulated into agreeing, helping you avoid stress and discomfort. Builds trust and respect. Being upfront about your boundaries builds trust, as people value transparency and respect when they know what to expect from you. Maintains integrity. When you say no confidently, you reinforce your commitment to your values and well-being, showing that you respect yourself and your time. Clarity in saying no is essential to maintaining healthy boundaries. Direct and respectful communication helps you protect your time, reduce guilt, and foster stronger relationships. When you say no with confidence, you uphold your well-being and create a space for others to respect your limits. Key takeaway 5. Empathy is important. When faced with a request that doesn't align with your needs, there's often an immediate urge to say yes, to avoid the discomfort of letting someone down. This is a common response, especially when we care about the other person. But here's the truth. Learning to say no with empathy is crucial for maintaining your well-being and nurturing your relationships. Empathy allows you to refuse requests while still showing understanding and compassion for the other person's situation. It's not about rejecting them. It's about preserving both your peace and theirs. How empathy softens the no. Empathy isn't about surrendering to every request. It's about showing that you understand where the other person is coming from. For example, when a friend asks for help with a project you can't manage, instead of just saying no and leaving them with that, you might respond with, I understand that you need help, and I wish I could assist, but right now I'm stretched too thin. This shows that you're aware of their need and you genuinely regret not being able to offer support. Using empathetic language like this doesn't just soften your no. It also communicates respect for the other person's needs. It helps to prevent any feelings of resentment or disappointment. Even though you're firm in your decision, the kindness you express ensures that the relationship remains intact. Empathy prevents over-explaining. When you offer empathy, you don't need to over-explain yourself or give a laundry list of excuses. You don't need to apologize excessively. A clear, empathetic refusal is enough. The key is to communicate your boundaries with kindness without feeling the need to justify yourself repeatedly. Key takeaway 6. Alternatives help. Sometimes, saying no isn't enough to maintain a good relationship. It's crucial to show that you still want to help in some way. One of the best strategies to soften the refusal is by offering an alternative. When you can't fulfill someone's request, suggesting another solution or compromise can ease the situation and demonstrate your willingness to assist. even if you can't meet their exact need. How offering alternatives benefits both parties. When you offer alternatives, it signals that you're still engaged and committed to the other person's success, but you are doing so within the limits of your capacity. It's about finding a win-win solution that works for both sides. Rather than just shutting down a request, offering an alternative can help you preserve your boundaries while maintaining the relationship. For instance, if a colleague asks you to take on a project but you're already swamped with tasks, instead of simply saying no, you could say, "I'm unable to take this on right now, but I know someone else who might be able to help, or I could assist with part of the task if that works for you." This approach not only keeps the conversation open, but also shows that you're still a team player, even if you can't handle the entire workload. Offering alternatives is especially useful in maintaining healthy work and personal relationships because it avoids the resentment or frustration that can arise when someone feels rejected or unsupported. It demonstrates your value and support in a more balanced, sustainable way. By suggesting alternatives, you help others find solutions, and they'll likely appreciate that you're still thinking of their needs, even when you have to decline. Additionally, this strategy allows you to preserve your well-being. By suggesting a different solution or offering partial help, you're not overcommitting yourself or sacrificing your priorities. You get to protect your boundaries while also nurturing important relationships, ensuring that both parties feel respected and valued. In the long run, regularly offering alternatives can strengthen your reputation as someone who is both considerate and capable of setting boundaries in a respectful, thoughtful way. You maintain your integrity and avoid taking on tasks that don't align with your current priorities. More importantly, you build trust by showing that you care about the other person's success and happiness, even if you can't directly fulfill their request. Here we have some examples of offering alternatives. Work context: I'm at full capacity this week, but I can suggest a colleague who can help with this task. Would that be okay? Social context: I can't attend the event, but how about we catch up for coffee sometime next week? Personal requests: I'm unable to lend you my car, but I can help you find a rental service nearby or give you a ride when I'm free. By practicing offering alternatives, you empower yourself to balance helping others with taking care of your own needs. It's a sustainable approach that shows you're committed to finding solutions rather than simply shutting down requests. Key takeaway 7. Evaluate requests against priorities. When learning to say no, one of the most powerful and empowering techniques is evaluating requests through the lens of your priorities. This step is essential because it helps you make decisions that are aligned with your personal goals, values, and long-term well-being. A quick but impactful question you can ask yourself when faced with a request is, does this align with my values and current objectives? This simple yet profound question helps you determine whether accepting the request will move you closer to what you truly want to achieve, or if it will just be a distraction. How evaluating requests helps you stay focused. The key to staying focused on your goals and maintaining healthy boundaries lies in pausing to assess each situation thoughtfully. When you evaluate requests, you don't allow the demands of others to dictate how you use your time and energy. Instead, you take control of your decision-making process and choose what matters most to you. For example, imagine a friend invites you to a last-minute event that sounds fun, but you've been working hard all week and need rest to recharge. It can be tempting to attend because you don't want to disappoint your friend or miss out on the social opportunity. But when you assess the situation in terms of your own priorities, such as your need for rest and the importance of staying on track with your upcoming goals, you can confidently decline. A response might be, I appreciate the invite, but I need to focus on some rest and recovery right now. I need to stay on track with my goals. This kind of evaluation helps you avoid falling into the trap of people-pleasing, which often leads to burnout and regret. By clearly identifying your priorities, you make decisions that protect your energy and time, allowing you to focus on what's most important in the long run. When you make decisions based on your values and objectives, you avoid the trap of accepting requests out of guilt or obligation. Instead of feeling overwhelmed or burdened by too many commitments, you learn to say no in a way that feels empowering and aligned with your true goals. Practical steps for evaluating requests against priorities. Pause and reflect. When you receive a request, take a moment to think about it. Don't feel pressured to respond immediately. Consider whether this request will add value to your life or take you off course. Align with your goals. Ask yourself if saying yes will bring you closer to your short-term or long-term goals. If it doesn't, it's a sign that you should decline. Assess the energy cost. Consider how accepting the request will affect your energy. Will it drain you, or will it replenish you? Protecting your energy is crucial to maintaining productivity and mental clarity. Remember your why. Reflect on why you set certain goals or priorities in the first place. Recalling your deeper motivations will help you stay true to what matters most. Benefits of evaluating requests. By taking the time to evaluate requests based on your priorities, you make decisions that contribute to your personal growth and well-being. You'll find that this approach reduces stress, enhances focus, and increases your ability to achieve your goals. Furthermore, it helps you maintain a sense of balance, both in your personal life and professional commitments. Ultimately, this practice empowers you to take ownership of your time and energy. When you say no with clarity and confidence, you're protecting your future self and ensuring that you stay aligned with your vision for your life. Imagine you're in a situation where your boss asks you to take on a new, urgent project. However, you're already committed to several other important tasks. Evaluating this request through the lens of your priorities could lead you to say, "I'm currently focused on specific tasks, and taking on this project would compromise my ability to do my best work. However, I'd be happy to help find a solution or assist in a different way if possible." This response acknowledges the request but makes it clear that your priorities and current workload must come first. Key takeaway 8. Avoid guilt. One of the most significant obstacles to saying no is the guilt that often accompanies it. We are conditioned to think that saying no means we're being selfish, inconsiderate, or unkind. But in reality, saying no is a powerful form of self-care. It's about setting boundaries that preserve your well-being, mental health, and energy. By saying no, you are not being selfish. You are simply recognizing that your time and energy are precious. Why guilt is unnecessary? The feeling of guilt is often rooted in the belief that we must always say yes to be liked, accepted, or valued by others. Society and culture tend to reinforce the idea that being helpful and agreeable is a sign of kindness. However, this mindset often leads to burnout, resentment, and physical or emotional exhaustion. When you constantly put others' needs above your own, you risk depleting your energy, which can ultimately hinder your ability to be truly helpful to anyone, including yourself. Guilt is an illusion that stems from the fear of disappointing others. But when you say no, you're simply prioritizing your own needs and health. For example, if a close friend asked you to take on a responsibility that you cannot commit to, you may feel guilty at first. However, by reminding yourself that declining the request allows you to conserve your energy and focus on your own well-being, that guilt can begin to dissipate. In the long run, saying no protects your ability to continue helping others effectively and sustainably. Mastering the art of saying no. Mastering the art of saying no isn't about rejecting others or being dismissive. Instead, it's about asserting yourself and setting boundaries while maintaining respect and understanding. When you say no, you're not only protecting your mental and emotional health, but you're also showing empathy and respect toward others by being honest about what you can and cannot do. To say no effectively, you can use several strategies. Empathy. Acknowledge the person's needs and feelings before declining. For example, you might say, "I understand this is important to you, but I'm unable to commit at this time." Offering alternatives. If appropriate, offer a solution or a compromise. This shows that you're still willing to help in other ways without overextending yourself. Evaluating requests against your priorities. As mentioned in previous takeaways, always evaluate if the request aligns with your personal goals and values. If it doesn't, it may be time to say no and protect your energy for the things that matter most. Avoid over-explaining. You don't owe a detailed justification for every no. Sometimes, simply stating that you have other priorities is enough. Over-explaining often invites guilt or invites others to persuade you to change your mind. Saying no is a tool for self-empowerment, not selfishness. It's about knowing your worth and recognizing that your time, energy, and mental health are just as valuable as anyone else's. When you practice saying no with kindness and clarity, you create healthier relationships and set boundaries that allow you to thrive. Practical application. How to avoid guilt and say no with confidence. Recognize the source of your guilt. Identify why you feel guilty. Is it because you're afraid of disappointing someone? Do you fear judgment? Once you understand the root of the guilt, it becomes easier to challenge it. Remind yourself of the bigger picture. Saying no might feel uncomfortable in the moment, but when you look at the bigger picture, your well-being, your goals, and your long-term happiness, it becomes much clearer why it's necessary. Practice self-compassion. Remind yourself that you deserve to prioritize your own needs. Just as you would encourage a friend to take care of themselves, do the same for yourself. Reframe your perspective. Rather than seeing no as a rejection, reframe it as a positive step toward preserving your time, energy, and mental health. Saying no is not the end of a relationship, but a way to keep your relationships healthy. Start small. If you're new to saying no, start with small requests and work your way up. As you build confidence, you'll find it easier to set bigger boundaries. Empowerment through boundaries. Mastering the art of saying no is crucial to living a balanced, stress-free life. By avoiding guilt, practicing empathy, and aligning your responses with your priorities, you empower yourself to make decisions that benefit your well-being. Remember, saying no doesn't make you selfish, it makes you self-aware. It allows you to show up as the best version of yourself, both for others and for yourself. If you found these strategies helpful, now is the time to put them into action. Reflect on your boundaries today. Think about one request you've been struggling with and try applying one of these techniques. Take charge of your time, your energy, and your life. Saying no is your path to a more focused, empowered, and stress-free existence. If you want more practical tips and insights on how to confidently say no and live a balanced life, don't forget to like, share, and save this message. Follow us for more tools to help you live with intention and purpose. Your empowered, guilt-free life begins today.